trans. It's the reading rainbow. I don't know. But anyway, hey, we're back here.
Hello. We are back again. And we have Jay.
Hello.
Again.
Again.
Hey, you can never
Everybody
go wrong.
like Jay.
I know.
We got a good amount of emails for Jay.
Yeah,
Jay
we got
was
feedback. They love the special guests.
Cool. Yep.
Well, thank you. Glad to be back.
Yep.
They were like, where's that guy, Jay?
Where's that man? That beautiful man that sounds like an angel and we want him back.
He's sitting right there beside you.
Absolutely not.
No, that's the only fans, dude, that they want.
Hey, not happening. But for a small price of $19.99, you can get absolutely.
An autographed picture and
Hey.
Of him bare-chested.
Hannah.
Hey,
With the
Flexing.
fuzz.
This body is not for sale.
Everybody got bills to pay.
It's extortion. Yeah.
So, part 2. We actually are going to make this into a 3-parter like we really wanted to because
It's so big.
it's such a big topic. Smear campaign, part 2. So this is actually something, like, you can literally Google this too, because I know I do. I love seeing people's responses. Like, the only time I actually see it, though, is through forums or Reddit or just random memes on Facebook. I never heard of it before we went through what we did. So this is Reddit. And this time I'm going to get you to read because last time I don't know, I talked too much here.
Absolutely not. It's because we
Yes.
love hearing your beautiful voice.
No, because I'm just going to be honest. It's because I got a pickle. And I'm going to eat my pickle while you read.
Pickle while
At
you
least
work.
I'm honest, okay? It's keto, just so everybody knows.
Yeah. Pickle with pickle flavored ranch. And
It's pickle crack.
we're not allowed to say crack on the air.
Crack.
It's an addiction.
It's really good. And
Don't
if
do
you haven't
drugs.
tried it, it's at Walmart. It's in a squeeze bottle. And it's only like $4. But it's pickle ranch, okay? Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah. Ooh, remember that dude on TikTok that's like everything is ranch? His whole platform is ranch.
Yes. That man, like, I don't know, sometimes it kind of makes me, not like sick to my stomach, but it's like, man, I've had this like too many times, even though it's not my food.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
we're
great.
getting ahead of ourselves. Here we go.
Getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I will read a small excerpt from online. And it's literally from smear campaigning as follows. Has anyone else been through a smear campaign? How did you survive it? Did you even survive it? Is there any recourse for me or any way to clear my name, or is the only possible course of action to cut my losses and move on? Any and all personal anecdotes are appreciated. Thank you.
My opinion, cut your losses.
Same.
Big time.
Because simple fact, our personal smear campaign, was quite the eye opener. It was, for me, it was everybody that I had known for, say, the last decade and a half turned their back on me at a moment's notice without even hearing the truth.
Yeah.
And joined in the smear campaign. So the advice for that would be literally, if they're willing to jump on the bandwagon to smear you, then they were never your friend to begin with. So it's probably better to cut your losses with that one and find a new group who actually understands where you're coming from. Because if you accept them back and try so hard to fix your name with the people who slandered it, then you're wasting all of your efforts in the wrong location and the wrong, that's just not the way to be.
Yeah.
And chances are, if they rebuttal and come back to you, and you're like, oh man, I cleared my name and this, that, the other, then they are twice as likely to be like, oh, they seek me at my approval so much that I have the permission now to step all over you.
Yeah. I was about to say it. Plus, you can forgive somebody without reconnecting with them. I can't say but so much because I technically have reconnected with at least one, but that was through therapy and personal growth. Nothing is ever going to be what it was, especially when they took the time to downgrade your character and pretty much demolish you to these people like they never knew you at all. So I can't say but so much because I'm not going to be a hypocrite, but I did reconnect with one. But ultimately, forgiveness does not mean you have to reconnect with somebody. Forgive them for your own sake and just move on, because all you're doing by reconnecting with someone that continues to slander you behind your back is just giving them permission to continuously keep doing it. Like, this is what's going to make me feel better, is by continuing a smear campaign for whatever reason.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, Jay pretty much was there for like a good majority of it. That's
I was,
a friend's...
unfortunately, and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's a good 95% chance if they slandered you once, they'll slander you again, no matter how much they apologize and all of that stuff. And, just like the old saying say, a tiger don't change its stripes, a leopard don't change its spots.
Yeah.
And people can change a tad bit, but it's not significant of a change that you can really tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Because we tried with, this one, of course, I won't name any names, but also another one who we no longer speak to, because it kept coming back to us that even though this person was telling us one thing, they were going back and still doing the same stuff. So it was just easier just to cut ties and not be involved, because it's just not worth the drama. You have to pick your battles in life. Do you really want to pick the battle of constantly having to wonder or doubt this relationship or friendship? Because it's like you said, they did it once, they'll do it again.
Yeah.
If you could cut ties before the lies that you've been living in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. That's
And it sucks because sometimes it'll be with people, like you said, that you've known your whole life, and they have no proof, but they're all like, "Oh,
yep.
What a piece of shit person."
Yeah, I think I touched on it on one of the other episodes about personally, it's my bully smeared so bad that every person that was an acquaintance of them that we had met, we had hung out, went to dinner with, went to parties with, had drinks with, joined the bandwagon so fast because of the abuser smear campaign that 112 people that I had met over the last decade or so smeared alongside of my abuser and unfriended me off of every social media platform.
I remember that.
And it's like, bro, like, my kid hung out with your kid and you're so easy to jump on the bandwagon. And like, it's amazing how quickly someone will believe something that's in an instinct without gathering the facts and join that bandwagon.
Probably because, and I think you mentioned this either last episode or episode before last, the lies are so much more
Extravagant than
entertaining than the truth. They even said that on a couple of these,
And to add
which it was like their friends and stuff.
To add to that, for someone, as you were saying, just to jump on a bandwagon and smear pancake you as fast, it makes you question how much of a friend they truly were and how much did they truly even know you.
Yep.
Yeah. Or maybe they were just liking you because of the thought of you or the benefit of you. So that goes into its own aspect, like, at least for me anyway, because mine was someone I had known for years and years and years, talking to somebody that I had known for at least half of those. So it's always someone closest to you that you think that is, your best friend or a family member that is spreading those lies. They even said it on this post. It said it was slowly I stopped hearing from longtime friends of mine after a smear campaign. I found out later that someone in my situation was enabling the narcissist by creating these lies. That's what happened to me. And you.
I've actually had it happen with family members after a death that was, glue that held the family together. And this is to be on both sides of my family that has happened. So it's happened more than once and everything.
Yeah. I remember that too. I was there for most of that. And then it's hard being the friend that has to watch someone go through that. Like, you can only give but so much, like, advice. It hurts.
Yes. Like me having to stand back and watch and listen of what was going on with you at your work and everything, and me wanting to be there, but because you knew that you were trying to protect me from getting too involved, you tried to not let me know exactly all until after, because you knew I would be up there to help for protection.
Oh, yeah, I know. When I was going through, like, a lot of that, I didn't want to get anybody involved because I thought that it would just cause more, I guess, fuel to the fire, if you will. If I would just leave it alone and extinguish it, then it would go away. But it still lingered somewhat, but I feel like it would have just been worse if I had retaliated or added on to it or gotten other people involved. Everybody, heals differently and does things differently, but for me, that was the best thing for me to do, was to cut the ties with the people that I knew were doing it and moving on with my own life without adding, the people that were still in my life into the mix.
Yeah, and it's a fine line of being afraid to do something because of retaliation back, and going over the other line of getting retaliated worse against because of it. So it's kind of, you got to know what's the better end.
Yeah. Plus, he had a frog. We also had the frog as a guest.
Ribbit. It's Kermit the Frog. Hello, everyone.
But yeah, I feel like it should definitely be one of those things that people think more about. If you hear something, you don't always have to answer. You can literally just get up and walk away. You don't have to add fuel to the fire. My vehicle was attacked.
Yes.
Okay, like there is a huge jump of listening to gossip and then literally saying, you know what, let's go beat up that person's car that we have, no relation with whatsoever.
And to add on to what you're saying about you can get up, walk away, if a person puts you in a situation where they make you feel like you have to choose, then what truly friend are they to you to begin with? Because that's narcissistic, and it's not right for them to make you pick and choose, because if you pick them, then you're picking sides, and if you pick against them, it retaliates against you too.
Lose.
Yeah.
Best thing to do, like Trish said, is if someone comes to you, this is probably a biggest piece of advice I can give, is if someone comes to you inviting you into their smear campaign, the best thing you can do is stay neutral and eliminate yourself from the entire situation, because joining the smear campaign is going to make you no better than the person starting it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, don't lower yourself down to their level by thinking, those 5 minutes will make you feel better by either saying something, doing something, what have you. Literally, I disappeared. I'll be completely honest. I disappeared so the rumor mill would disappear. I mean, you can't talk about something that's not there. So for me, I backed off. I did my own thing. I got into like hobbies. I fixed up a house. I took extra overtime. Stuff like that. I like this one. That's one that we haven't talked about. How do you mentally handle a smear campaign?
I got something to add to that.
Oh,
So, this is a personal piece.
I'm ready.
So, as now I've been a victim of a smear campaign so many times it'll make your head spin. This one specifically, I knew a person from when I was 8, 9 years old. You know, so I've known that person for 30 years. You know, and it's like, I grew up with his son, and we hung out. I stayed the night at his house. We went hunting together at his hunting club, everything, you know. I knew this guy, you know. And
yeah, okay.
lo and behold, a family member of his just happened to befriend my abuser because of place of work. And when my abuser decided to smear campaign me and told this person, they immediately took her side, and lo and behold, that person that I had known all my life joined into the smear campaign and was just like, oh, that's just how he is. That's how he's always been. I've known him all my life. And like, dude, like, I grew up around you, and that's not who I am, but for some odd reason, whatever you're going through, you just had to jump on the bandwagon. Like,
Technically, that you know of.
yeah, technically, because that was just third party talk from the abuser themselves.
100% get it from the source before it's like, this is exactly what happened.
Considerably,
Yeah.
the guy's still wishy-washy, regardless, you know. But at the same sense, it's like, to hear that someone you knew, though, it kind of hits different, though. Even if it's not true, to hear that someone you grew up around participating in your smear campaign.
Oh, God, yeah.
Is like, what the world? I've known you all my life, you know. For whatever reason, I've either babysit your kids or, you know, went to summer camp with your kids, went hunting. I know your entire family and your entire family history, and to hear that you turned your back on me, you know, they say, you know, the closest people to you are gonna do the worst damage.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just mentioned that. Like, look, and it's true.
Yeah.
Hell, I had 2 or 3 people that I grew up with who consider me like a 4th kid of theirs.
Yep.
Literally add fuel to the fire. And I'm like, you know me. Why would you do something like that? Why would you automatically take someone's side without even asking me? Like, because I guess lies are so much more entertaining, but those people, if they're doing it to me, they sure as shit are gonna do it to you.
Yes.
Like, come on now. It always happens that way. If they can do it to me or to someone else, they're gonna eventually do it to you because, as Jay said, they don't change their stripes.
No.
They just only get a little bit more creative with the lies. Ooh,
That's just like a situation a little over 12 years ago that I was in. We, including you, were lied to about a certain thing, and when we found out, we tried to correct the situation. And of course, this person's parent
Yep.
looked at it totally different and smeared the you know what out of me, and it definitely hit different because I've known them for quite a long time, and it took a while for the person that was involved. We straightened everything out, and there was no smearing on their part. It was just their parents' part that was doing it. And even to this day, after they found out the true truth, they still kind of, how would you say, like, they won't apologize, but in the same aspect, I still know that they're going to still smear campaign me and probably others, and but when you see them in their face, they're all kiss up to you and everything.
Oh yeah.
Two-faced.
Yep. I get that quite a bit because I got friend requests, I got text messages.
Oh,
Even
God,
in
yeah.
person, it's been crazy. And they're, oh, I'm so sorry that I did this and this and this. You should have never done it in the first place because you didn't see me do it.
Yep.
When you were in your time of need, like, I'm minding my business. I stayed in my lane. When you were going through, like, 10 times worse of what I did. Yeah, well, I tried to be there for you. I was like, nah, not really.
Yeah, you were just like, I tell you I'm having a mental breakdown, and you're like, oh, you got this. No, if I'm telling you I'm going through a mental breakdown, I don't got this.
Yeah.
I'm looking for help, and you're brushing me off. But yet, fast forward, however many months, oh, you're telling me you're having a mental breakdown, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's nice. And then next thing you know, you smear campaign me like crazy. It's like...
No, I get that. And, it should be taken more seriously than what it is. Not just because you're either going through it or not, but just in general, you need to put yourself in their shoes in that moment. Would you want just that artificial answer? You got this. You can get it. Are you sure? Would you be okay with that answer? Like, stop just brushing people off. If you don't know what to say, just say, I don't really know what to say, but I'm here for you. If you want to talk about it.
Because when they push people off like that, it goes back to a episode which y'all were talking about where, people say basically, well, no one's here for me, so I'm gonna unlive myself, and that causes a lot of that, and it's unfortunate because people can't be real with people and basically support your so-called friend or family member.
Yeah. Or they'll chalk them up to being like super dramatic, which, I mean, I've seen some Facebook pages where it's like it's a constant negativity, like something is always happening, something is always wrong. So I understand that. But the thing is that they don't have anybody if they're consistently posting. And it's so many ways of looking at it because it's like, oh, it's not my responsibility, or oh, it's draining. And it can be draining. But you can at least try to point them in the right direction instead of just automatically putting them in this bubble. Like, and that won't take but maybe 5 seconds out of your time to be like, hey, I know you're going through a hard time. Is there anything that anybody can do for you? I know this and this and this that could possibly help because it helped me. How hard is that?
Yes.
That goes back to one of the other episodes we had too, where we were like, it doesn't matter. It only takes a simple hello to change someone's entire outlook.
Correct.
For me personally, when my abuser, I was questioning my life's worth, between the military PTSD and my current situation at the time, so I reached out, to the person who was supposed to be there for you, and it was, oh, well, my story's worse than yours, so I'm not going to care about what you're talking about. I'm going to overshadow it.
Yes.
So that's what the abuser's going to do, is they're going to make whatever you're going through, oh, I stubbed my toe and it's broken. Well, next thing you know, it's like, oh, I remember when I stubbed my toe, I broke the nail off, had to have 6 surgeries, my cat died. They're just going to come up with all sorts of stuff to make sure that your story is so undervalidated that you take your outlook on it and say, well, maybe this wasn't worth talking about to begin with because everything I say is not important enough to bring the topic because it's just not important. So it makes you question your worth.
Yeah, because that's kind of like what they call it. I just had it on my thought. Hypochondriac.
Yeah.
Like you have something wrong with you, they always 2 to 3 times worse.
Yeah,
oh, God,
It's like a hypochondriac complex along with narcissistic going on.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're going through this. Well, I went through that just last week, and if I can do it, you can do it. Are you kidding?
Oh, as a matter of fact, I've seen people in the past do the exact same thing. It was if dog,
Dog pause.
a family member passes away due to health issues like cancer, we'll just say, and you're like, oh my god, my brother, sister's uncle passed away from cancer, and I can't believe it, he was so healthy, and then this is a shocking news and blah 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 blah. Well, the abuser is going to jump right away and be like, oh, I remember when my person passed away from cancer and it completely devastated me. They're going to take every bit of your spotlight and make it about them.
Yeah. That's just like, and y'all remember this quite well because I do, unfortunately. But 3 months after my wife passed away, we went to a wedding to an associate, and we were in the wedding party. Well, during the dance, they were doing couples for however long you've been married. If you've been under this, you got to get off the dance floor. Well, because I had lost my spouse within that 3 month period, it got to me. So I went outside and not to try to cause any scene or anything because I wanted to get it out. Well, Hoss, followed by Trish, come out and checked on me, and then as others proceeded out, one came out and was like, "What's wrong with him?" And you guys told this person that, and that person was like, "Well, oh, okay. Well, I don't understand it," and then she went about her way, and it's like that was just like,
It's disrespectful, honestly.
and that was part of being narcissistic and trying to get back control because everything went on her, even though that wasn't even about her, or the wedding wasn't about her.
I just don't understand why you would come here when you want to be all depressed and stuff. And in that moment, I should have just shoved her down.
They fault you for expressing your concerns, your feelings, and your thoughts. You are faulted. Mm-hmm. Like it's a sin to express what you're feeling, and that's today's society. It's a thing of, and that's the reason all of these movements are going so far. Like us talking on the podcast about all the narcissists and the smear campaigning and the toxic relationships, toxic parents. It's because everyone that we were, around when we grew up said it was, taboo to talk about. You're not allowed to talk about it because it's we just don't speak about that thing because it's something we know nothing about. It's like you go to school and, someone, I don't know, has their brother's in jail, and it's like, oh, well, we don't talk about that because we don't understand it. So they stayed it themselves, and nobody asks how they're doing because nobody wants to talk about it. And when he does bring it up, hey, I'm having family issues. My brother's in jail. My dad left. It's just my mom raising us kids, and we're on the poverty line. And the first thing out of the teacher's mouth is, "Oh, you're crazy. You're a lunatic. Let me throw you to the wolves and just say, hey, go see a psychiatrist because you're loony." They automatically think that instead of actually listening, and that's 90% of the population.
No.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Listening, to me, should come priceless. It shouldn't have boundaries. It shouldn't have, well, I did this for you that one time, so you should help me out this time. You should give 5 minutes of your time to at least just listen. Sometimes 90% of the time, that's all anybody wants is to be heard instead of constantly thinking that they're a burden or that they're a bother in some way.
Yes.
And it sucks because mental health in general is not taken seriously. And then the abuse that you get from others isn't taken seriously. Because then you get, well, I've been through stuff like that before, so if I can get over it, you can get over it. Okay, but that was you. Like, what did you need in that moment? Did you need somebody to contradict you and tell you to pretty much suck it up and get over it? Or did you need somebody to just hear you out?
Right. And not to circle the horse back around.
No, we like the horse.
Well, like Hoss was saying about someone texting you, hey, how you doing? You know, something like that could change a whole outlook on someone's life, which is true. And honestly, with that being said by him, it only takes 2.5 seconds to type, hey, how are you? Or how are you doing to someone. It don't take that long to. It's not like putting on a pair of pants. You can type that fast and you can put on pants, put on a shirt, any of that. So
yeah, I agree.
Change the whole outlook of somebody's life. You know, you just be that person that, you know, you didn't have. You know, if you're being bullied your entire life on the school bus, be an advocate for people being bullied. You know, that's kind of what I did. You know, I watched myself be bullied and had nobody there for me when I was going to school, you know. So, you know, I picked up weightlifting and, you know, everything, went into the Marine Corps to try to be the best version of myself. So when I got out, all those people that were being bullied, you know, could be, you know, advocated for, could be stood up for, you know, to be given a voice. You know, that's like the podcast, you know, everybody that's going through a mental problem or everybody that's battling something, you know, that nobody else can understand, you know, we're here. We understand, you know, and you've expressed that to us that, hey,
Yeah.
you know, we really enjoy listening to your podcast. We listen to your podcast while we work out. You know, it helps me get through and makes me feel less alone. You know, you are that savior. If you are a person that reaches out and helps someone in need, and I'm not saying, you know, anything of a monetary value or, you know, things where you're expecting some sort of, you know, reciprocation. You know, it's more of if you're driving down the road and it's pouring down rain and you see a car on the side of the road with, you know, an elderly lady with a flat tire and she's out there trying to change the tire by herself. You know, your clothes can dry. You know, if you're young and able, you know,
yes.
Don't let her do that because chances are people have put her in a bad spot all her life, so she's had no choice but to do things herself. And a kind gesture would go a long way.
Yeah.
You know?
Get some faith in humanity. Again.
Yes.
So, about the bus thing, I have a good story for that, a similar situation dealing with me. But I also want to say this about you being in Marines. I know yesterday was the 4th of July, which, happy belated 4th of July. Thank you for your services. Thank all the men and women out here that serve for this country that make freedom ring. But what I was going to say about the bus, I went to school in Petersburg, which it didn't bother me. I did get a lot of questions. Hey, you know, you go to school in Petersburg. I heard that there's bad things going. I didn't really have a lot going on against me, but one time on the bus, we had to pick up a different neighborhood, and a couple of the gentlemen from that neighborhood played on the football team, and they were bullying me and everything, and I kept to myself because I figured it was best to stay to myself, keep quiet, and not worry about it. Well, just so happened we went back through and we had to pick up another stop, and I had a buddy. Well, at the time, he was acquaintance, and I thought him as a buddy, but I didn't know if he felt the same way. And he was a guy that, if you looked at him, he looked like a thug. He acted like a thug, but he was nice. But everyone in school knew him, and if you messed up or stepped out of line that he didn't like, he would put you in your place real quick. Yeah. So when he got on the bus, they were like, "Hey Nate, come on back here and let's pick on the white boy." And he said, "What white boy?" Well, once he seen it was me, he was known if he took his shirt or hoodie off that he was ready to fight, and which is, no one should be fighting, but he took off the hood. He said, "Let me tell y'all something." He said, "That's my boy." He said, "Let me hear of any of you or your football team, anyone, say anything else bad about him. I'm going to take you all on, and y'all all are going to regret it." And after that day, I never had no problems with anyone else from that neighborhood or on the bus or anything.
Be an advocate for somebody else.
Because all it takes is, well, more than one person, but
yeah,
it's like a ricochet effect when someone else sees, hey, they're standing up to that person, or hey, 2 or 3 of those people were getting bullied. If there's like a good majority instead of just 1 or 2, it changes things.
Yeah, like for say, well, how I said I was an advocate, for the less fortunate myself. Once I have a different spot in my heart, for when it comes to things, and one of I would say my idols, a lot of people don't like him, but I don't know why, is Bobby Bones from K95, country. He was bullied pretty much all his life, and now he stands up for bullies. He promotes bullying. He, donates to charities. He does a lot of events for the less fortunate. He's a really kind-hearted guy, and I consider myself, alongside with him. One of my closest friends that I've known all my life, like literally since, I was knee-high to a grasshopper, he was one of those less fortunate, because they didn't fit in. His dad was, in the Army for a long time, and his mom, worked at a hospital a lot. So he was home alone doing this, that, the other, and, because of his genetics, he was, tall, skinny, wore glasses, and his parents kind of got him like, hey, we're not going to keep you up with the style of things, we're going to treat you like you're in the Army because that's what we know. So he came to school with, combat boots and, camouflage pants and, and everybody thought, he was weird. Well, it was, one day I was walking from class, and seen, a crowd of people, laughing and playing around. And at the center of this group was this boy, wearing his camouflage pants, his combat boots, and, wearing this big old rucksack from the military that his dad had given him to use as a book bag instead of buying him the up to style stuff, and he was pretty much defenseless, so I split the group up, not condoning any kind of violence or anything, but, one of the main, abusers, was going at him constantly left and right and pushing on him and grabbing his gear, so I pushed on that guy, grabbed that guy and threw him off to the side, and I ended up ultimately befriending, that poor defenseless boy, and now I've known him, 25 years now, and there's not a thing I wouldn't do for him. We kind of do each other, hey, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, he's a jack of all trades, I'm a jack of all trades, where he falters, I come in, where I falter, he comes in, and it took, and even to this day, people don't know how to take him, people don't know how to read him, and just befriending him pretty much changed his whole outlook on life, because it's like, kind of almost like, if you find someone, I wasn't popular by no means, but if you find someone and you are a complete opposite, like, you got your cliques in school, say you got your jocks and you got your cheerleaders and then you got your nerds and then you got your, computer whizzes and then you got your, preppies and this, that, and the other. It's really weird in a social circumstance for, say, the captain of the football team to be best friends with the leader of the math group. It's like they don't go hand in hand, as far as socially acceptable. Well, that's sometimes the best friendship that you can come across.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Opposites attract.
opposites attract, and it's a lifelong friend. I've known him all my life. There's not a thing that if I call him and say, hey, I don't know, my shed caught on fire because of an electrical problem. Can you come make sure all my stuff is straight? He'll be here in like 10 minutes, making sure, testing everything, making sure I'm not going to get hurt. At the same time, if he calls,
say you've been there for him too.
I was going to say at the same time, he calls me and says, hey, I broke down on the side of the road, my car won't start, and boom, I'm there in like 10, 15 minutes and get him running.
Right.
That's a good friend to have.
Yeah, it only takes, not to digress, but it only takes a simple hello or a simple, hey, I see you're going through something. Tell me how I can help.
Right.
Especially if you hear somebody talking bad about somebody
Exactly.
else.
You can put a stop to it.
Yep. You're mutual friends with that person. Like, reach out to them.
Right.
Ask them if they're okay.
And funny thing, and the ironic part about that whole story is about the gentleman wearing all the, army gear, camo. Now, anywhere you go these days, Walmart, Target, you're going to see someone in camo, which is the irony of that. Like back then, it was like, oh, you're wearing that, so you're not in style, you're not cool. Now it's common, very common. I mean, you can't go out your door without seeing someone in some type of camo, no matter what color it is or what pattern it is.
That's anything. Like, it could be music choices or movies or hell, even when we were going to school, it was shopping at Walmart.
Oh,
if you wore Walmart clothes or something.
Yeah, if you wore Walmart clothes, you were considered poor.
Yeah.
You got made fun of. If you didn't have...
Well, guess what? Now we're all poor, so...
yeah, we shop at
Joke's
Amazon.
on you.
We shop at Amazon.
That was just like Feli was a big thing, and now you can go in Walmart or and find Feli.
Find Feli, find Reebok, find
And
Champion.
One.
I don't do any of those. I'm a toured woman, but at least I use coupons.
Coupons.
Coupons and layaways.
You damn Skippy.
Coupons.
Coupons. Yeah.
Shoot,
So we had
especially with these gas
we had
prices,
another
baby.
reading.
No.
We had another reading loaded here. That kind of went hand in hand with everything.
I'm just saying. Excuse me, my dog is attacking me.
Do you want to read this one or you want me to read this one?
Whichever. I'm sorry, I had a stroke. How do you mentally handle a smear campaign? Don't you look at me like that. You're staring at my pickle the whole time.
You're staring at my pickle. So,
Whole time.
Hey, roll tide. Anyway, so how do you handle a smear campaign, especially when a lot of it is going on behind the scenes, so it makes you feel neurotic, while you're still waiting to see how it will play out with some mutual friends / family members that have always treated you well and actually really helped you? They just are maybe naive and don't fully understand or believe the things about the ends. Let's face it, a lot of it be really hard to...
a lot of it be really hard to face, okay? Say it right.
I can't,
It aggravates my already existing fears of what others think of me, born from emotional abuse, and issues I have from being bullied growing up. Okay?
That's really a loaded question and answer, because of the simple fact each person, like, let's say person one is smear campaigning you one way, but if you got to take a different approach to person two, because their personalities are different and to yours is different as well. So you got to look at it as in who's smear campaigning you and what's the best decision and outcome in the long run for yourself.
Yeah. 100%.
Now, one of the responses for the comments to this was exactly what Trish had said. As much as possible, you need to disappear. There's nothing to smear if you vanish.
Yup.
You literally just said that. That was one of the comments.
I'm just saying, it's true though.
Same thing with what I said and what you said and what Jay said as well. It says, "Wait, real friends will come back to you. If they don't, they're probably narcissistic enablers who are not worth your time."
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Like,
Plus, by disappearing and getting rid of the people that just want to tear you down all the time, you're making room for those who actually deserve you.
that's pretty good.
Yes.
I'll give you that one. That's
It
that's
is.
Nice.
You're welcome.
It's taking out the trash. To once you get rid of the toxic material, you make room for a new way of life.
Yep.
You close that
yourself,
door, close
for
that
others.
chapter,
Yep.
and behind every closed door, another one is opening.
Yeah.
Like for instance, we'll just use my careers.
Yeah.
Was a mechanic by trade. That's what I've always done. She got the hiccups. That's what I've always done. That's what I've always, fancied myself. I was working, 60 hours a week, turning wrenches, busting my knuckles, and I was being treated so poorly and unfairly, and it's like, for what reason? It's like wasn't happy.
Yeah. But at least you were able to grow enough to admit that.
Yeah.
Because
So
for the
it's-
longest time, you just made excuses for your unhappiness.
Yeah, I was doing it, so
That's because it's scary trying something
it
new.
is. Trying something new
And
is
that's the same
always
with
frightening.
narcissistic friends and family and stuff. You don't want to be without these people because it's all you've known for
Exactly.
Yes.
however amount of time. And you'll
Yeah.
never truly know your full potential until you really start believing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And really, putting that out there for other people. Healthy boundaries, that's what I mean.
Yes.
Healthy boundaries, healthy relationships, and it goes for all parties, not just you. You respect them as much as they respect you. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Nope.
Like, so many people make it difficult than what it has to be.
People get in a rut, they get comfortable, and they feel that comfortability, even though that comfortability is and can be wrong, especially with narcissistic people, they're scared to step outside the boundary and get into a new lane that is better fitting for them because they're scared.
Yeah.
to try.
Guilty. I think at one point we were all there.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
If you
it's-
weren't there, then you can never really grow.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to take accountability for the actions that, you made along the way. Own it. Move on.
Yeah. It's a thing. Trying something new is always going to be scary. A new job, a new, moving to a new house, a new relationship. It does. Getting even so much as something as simple as getting a new pet.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's trying something new, so it's always going to be scary. And like I tell you though, when you rid yourself of the narcissist, you will find out just how easy life can be.
Oh, God. It's so
Yeah,
peaceful.
Since we've been rid of our narcissistic abuser, we've been 4 months now since we've rid ourselves of the smear campaigning, rid ourselves of the narcissistic abuse, the
Yep.
the toxicness. It's been nothing but smiles, adventures, pictures, family. It's been easy. It's almost like
It's like
you were given a new set of lungs to breathe.
You
It's like-
realize just as much time you wasted, too.
And it's like coming out of a hurricane and starting to see the day of light from the sun.
Yep. The light
Yep.
that was at the end of the tunnel you'd been chasing for years.
Yep. Away from the sun, 3 doors down.
Yep.
Listen to it.
One of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. And, it's something to think about. If you see it happening, don't react to it. Don't add to it. If it's happening to you personally, like, because I know we're probably going to end up getting some messages for that. If it's happening to you personally, you can overcome it. You can get out of it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. So many people say that and you probably think it's corny. It's not. It's like so much more peaceful on the other side the minute that you realize your worth. You are worth more than a smear campaign. You are worth more than someone that takes advantage of you. You're worth more than someone who literally wants to sit there and disrespect you behind your back. A real friend will have your back no matter what, no matter where you are.
And to add to that, first and foremost, you need to put yourself first before a friend. If that, especially if you value yourself, because if you value yourself, your friends that are true friends are going to value just as much. So if you start going to these narcissistic people and try to value yourself based on their opinion, you will never amount to nothing.
Exactly. Jay has been my buddy for 20 years, and I've never had to worry about it. We've had our ups and downs, but overall, I've never sat there and thought, you know what? I bet Jay's over there smear campaigning me.
Yeah, actually, Jay was one of the very, very few people that, when everything went down in 2021, stayed neutral.
Yeah.
You know, he took it upon himself to dig and find every angle of the story and make his own opinion.
Yep.
You know, it's very few and far in between do you find that a person that's not going to jump sides right away just because.
Yes. No, that's just me. I think outside the box. I know there's always more than one side of the story. There's at least three, if not more.
Yep.
And I base my opinions off all facts I get, not just what I first hear. And even though some of the ones that smear campaigning, y'all also eventually smear campaign against me.
Yeah.
Before or even after. Some more after than before, but
I remember. And, you know, Jay overcame his too. Because eventually you realize you're either going to stay in it and always wonder, you know, why this person is treating you this way, or you're going to be better and grow from it and realize that that's on them. That's their doing. They're insecure about something. They're upset about something. Oh, yeah. If you hear a lady in the background coughing, that is my mother-in-law. I got her in the divorce. But she's alive. She's well. She's a smoker.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's funny when you say she's a smoker, because me and my buddy Tim, or our buddy Tim, I should say, excuse me, which congratulations on your marriage over the weekend. But we had this running theme joke with this girlfriend of his he used to have a long time ago. She was a smoker behind his back and never told him until later on. And she would start coughing, and like we would go cough because of smoke. And we'd get a good chuckle out of it because, you know,
but if you get so mad.
Yes, and that's what made it even funny, even though it's not right to pick all the time. But she was bringing that upon herself by smoking. If she won't smoking, she won't coughing.
Yeah, I get that. I'm an ex-smoker, so I understand. But I digress.
We're not faulting people for smoking. You
know? No.
It's a thing of, it's not like, oh my God, this is a sin. You know, you can't do that.
Look, y'all got one life. Y'all do what y'all need to do. As long as you ain't hurting nobody, as long as you ain't hurting yourself, it's your business, not mine.
Do what makes you happy.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy, because nobody's here for a long time, so enjoy it while you can.
Happy.
And I leave you with this little note. You'll never truly understand marriages, divorces, childbirth, death of a loved one, or parenting until it actually happens to you.
Correct.
Let me repeat that so you really, really hear it. Until it happens to you. To you. Not someone you know, not your cousin's third toe, to you.
Once your brother said I got toe cancer?
Yes. Yeah. I love my brother.
I'm telling you.
Theories and assumptions of situations in life are not realities. You think you are smarter than most until life humbles you when it's your turn. Just
Yes,
remember that as
and
we leave you.
lo and behold, it just so happens, everything that we went through in 2021, every other person that we came across criticized us. I would never do that. I could never do that. I don't understand it. Why would you do that? I thought you were better than that. And even one of them, one of the abusers did the exact same thing and then was like, oh, it's not that bad because it was what I wanted. Even so, like, you never know. And even today, there's still parties that, don't understand it because they haven't been cursed/blessed with the knowledge of going through it themselves.
And the heartache.
It's
Oh God, yeah.
you're driving it. I live and breathe by examples and situations. You're a kid. You're going driving down the road. Your car hydroplanes with your brother in it, and you get into a car accident. You make it out the other side, but now forever you're thinking the car's going to hydroplane, and
Been there.
It's traumatic. It's a traumatic scar. Everyone around you will criticize you and tell you, "Oh man, why do you panic when you're in the car when it's raining? Why do you do this? Why do you do that?" Well, they don't actually understand because they've never had it happen to them. But then once it happens to them, they get all panicky and they don't understand why they're doing it. And now you have, hey, look, it happened to me too. So now you understand why I am the way I am. Every trauma you have creates a scar and a story that lives with you forever. And storytellers are some of the best people.
Yeah, I agree, especially from their own experiences.
That's what makes that's what creates wisdom. It doesn't come from books. It helps. It doesn't come from watching TV or movies or, scripts or this, that, the other. It comes from life experiences.
Yes.
You go up on a roof, with your uncle when you're a kid and you help them lay shingles on a roof. Now you got knowledge of how a roof's supposed to look, how a roof's supposed to work. You cut a piece of wood using a saw. Now you know how to use that saw. It's all carnal knowledge that you learn. Same thing from mistakes. You learn from your mistakes. You don't make the same ones again. If you get into a relationship and you're being abused, you know how painful the abuse feels like. So when you get out of that abusive relationship and you start moving on with your life, you know what feels good and what doesn't, so you don't make the same mistakes again.
Amen.
Yes.
I'll leave you with that one.
Yeah.
Food for thought, really.
Exactly.
Food for thought.
And everybody should be kind to one another and try to love one another. And if you know someone that needs to be talked with, because they're going through something, reach out to them. Tell them to reach out to you. Look up hotlines or something if you think someone's going through something that you can't help them. Try to be that supporting hand and not just sitting in the background doing nothing and then I shoulda, coulda, woulda later on.
We should
Yeah.
do like a contest on that.
Yeah.
Some sort of like raffle giveaway type thing of doing something nice for someone else. You'd be like, you just say, send us a picture, of, you don't have to have the faces or anything. Send us a picture of you helping someone out. Not so much like, oh, my grandma needed help getting out of the car. Well, that's nice you're helping your grandmother get out of the car. Just like helping a stranger, whether it be a homeless guy on the side of the road, giving him a couple bucks or a piece of food, or help changing a tire, or, someone in the grocery store trying to find something but they can't seem to find it. And you're like, oh, I know where that's at because I get it all the time. Send us a picture, send us an email or a story, about a time where you were selfless and helped someone out in a time of need without expecting some sort of reciprocation. And if your story is, pretty cool and pretty awesome, hey.
How are you supposed to pick through that, though? Because there's going to be some awesome stories.
Well, there are going to be awesome stories. We'll do, a thing of, we got plenty of, pretty good ideas and pretty good consolation prizes, so it's like, if you give us, just send it in, whether it be, you'll either get a gift card, or you'll get a little surprise pack, or you'll get something cool or something cute. Everybody, that's going to send us a story, all of our listeners, that have been here since March, or even if you're just now tuning in and you hear this, just send us a time or a picture of you doing a selfless act to restore faith in humanity.
Yes.
And, it'll help others show, or help others see that there are still good people left in this world.
I was at Main Street Cafe. Y'all know where that's at. And I was with a friend, and I came out, and there was a homeless guy on the sidewalk, and you could tell, you can tell the homeless from the non-homeless.
Yeah.
Well, the gentleman was homeless, and I'm on a fixed income myself. Well, I gave him $2. Well, the person I was hanging out with questioned me, why'd you hand that gentleman money? Because he needed it more than I did. Yep. And she was like, well, I don't understand it. I'm like, well, maybe it's not for you to understand, but I felt it in my heart to do that, so that's what I did.
Oh yeah, I tell you, same concept. It was probably 2 months ago, right when it first started getting warm. We went to Food Lion and we got some ice cream and this, that, the other. Well, we pulled out and went to go to the ATM, and there was an elderly gentleman wearing a Vietnam veteran hat, standing on the side. He wasn't asking for money. He just had a piece of cardboard that said, "Hungry, will work for food," this, that, the other. Well, we turned around, out of the goodness of our heart, went back inside, grabbed a couple cold bottles of water, grabbed some lunch meat, grabbed a little loaf of bread and a pack of cheese, and came back outside, went over and handed it to him. Well, that guy, after we handed it to him, said, "God bless, thank you, what can I do to repay you?" And it wasn't about reciprocation. Well,
right.
It wasn't 5 minutes later, that dude was sitting in the shade, making himself a sandwich and sitting down and eating something. It's a faith in humanity. It shows. It's a simple thing. And I've always been a big, you can tell the people that are down on their luck versus the people who have made constant bad decisions, who are, looking to scam you. It's easy to tell.
Yep.
Those people, it's like, you do what you do, but I constantly see these people, out throughout Colonial Heights and the Tri-Cities, standing on the side of the road with a sign saying, "Got a family of 5 to feed, rent's due, power's due, don't have the money to do this, that, the other." And off to the side, if you sit there and watch them long enough, you'll see who's genuine and who's not, because people will be handing them money feeling sorry for them, and then at the end of the day, they turn around and walk back to, a high-class luxury car where their significant other is standing there wearing a clean pair of clothes and whatnot. And it's like, oh, hey, we just scammed, 300 people out of about $1,000 today by standing here just because. Versus the guy that, is standing there in regs and just trying to get food, not even asking for money. Don't say, "Hey, anything helps," just say, "Hey, I'm hungry." And you watch them the minute you give them the food, and they go sit down and eat.
Yeah.
Be a human being, because we all came from somewhere.
Yeah. Don't forget where you came from.
Don't forget 100%. Your roots.
So, and with that,
yeah,
we're gonna let you go, just because I really want to make this into a 3-parter. I feel like if I read any more,
yeah, we've touched on,
not gonna make the third part that interesting.
We've touched on smear campaigning. We've touched on humanity. We touched on bullying. It's a thing of, the third part is pretty much our story.
Yeah.
as per first person eyewitness, a person who was our special guest is a person that was suckered into the smear campaign, all while being smear campaigned themselves. So it's going to be a true eye opener as to just how easy a person can be manipulated into joining a smear campaign.
Yeah. And it's way more easier than you think that it is. So stay tuned with us as we go through another portion of this. I just feel like it should be like more awareness for it. If there was more awareness, we wouldn't have been as confused.
Also, stay tuned. We have a few designs in the works, a few ideas in the works for, t-shirts and stuff.
Merchandise.
Merchandise. We were trying to come up with some stuff, for the upcoming parades and upcoming events to kind of like hand out some freebies and this, that, the other. So stay tuned for that.
Yes.
And send us your stories.
We have fun stuff ahead.
Yeah, send us your stories about being a human, at its best. Humanity giving back, and I'm not talking about go to McDonald's and, pay it forward, because we all know, we've all seen videos of how that can get wildly out of control. Well, while it's a nice gesture, while it's, pretty cool, I applaud you if that's who you are, making a difference, giving your kindness behind, but there's so many people that'll take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But kindness does go a long way. You never know. You could come across somebody who's on their last limb, and you help them by holding the door for them, or helping them put the groceries in their car, or taking their shopping cart and putting it back so they don't have to walk in the heat.
Yeah.
Anything,
For the love of God, just do something nice.
Just do something nice, it's...
Otherwise, Hoss will feel it.
Yes, I will feel it, and I will not sleep. I don't sleep anyway, but I will not sleep.
Okay. Be safe out there. We hope you enjoyed your 4th. Be kind for the love of God.
Stay in school.
And we will see you next week. Maybe Jay will be back.
Maybe.
All right, guys.
Adios.
Bye.
Hasta luego.